Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live show.
Live
I'm
show.
live
Now it's
show.
live.
Now it's
Now it
live.
actually says live. Live show. It's a live show. It is live and it's always live show. I don't
I'm
know. That
glad I
was.
made that mistake because we wasted a lot of time talking about nothing, uh, trying to figure out the link for the live stream. But did you get it after? Do you got the
I
link?
did, and the tweet is out. I just tweeted with the link, so you can retweet if you want to. Audience, if you see the tweet, retweet. Oh, it deleted. Never mind. Hold on.
I remember I said that tweet didn't have the link.
Well, I tweeted
Anyway,
a tweet with a link, and
who
then
ca-
it also
who
says this tweet is not available, which is really kind of cool.
who cares? Because to be honest, only like one or two people ever watch this live, and
I
there's
think
one
we'll get a
person.
lot of people tonight. It's TQIF.
I think I have one viewer, or is that you?
No, it's definitely not me, so it must be
All
a
right,
viewer.
let's get into it. Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 8. Pretty deep in the season. We still don't know what this goddamn burn is all about.
The goddamn burn.
But
Uh, there's a. Anyways, go on.
keeping aside the main storyline just for now, talk about Giorgio. And the opening scene of this episode, to me, is like the worst part of it. I don't know what that conversation was between those two. It's like, if I had the time, I'd poison your children. If I had time, I'd have children. Like, all of that stuff. I'm like, get me out of here. Just like, get this scene over with. And then the rest of it was not bad. I have nitpicks everywhere. But as an episode of just like enjoyment, it was a nice loosey goosey kind of dumb fun. I dare to say
I like
episode
that dumb
because
fun.
yeah, it
Shishan
had
girls here, yo.
yo Shishan girl.
What up?
Yay! Hi there, it's me.
Let's talk about disco a little bit more, Shishan girl. We want yay in and out. Headphones on, so I'll be listening. Looking forward to it. Awesome, cool. We'll keep you entertained while you wash dishes or walk around. Enjoy your Asturias experience over there in Spain. I love it.
Um, I tried to check out some of your live stream yesterday, but I didn't really get a chance. So I don't really know what you think of this episode. But what did you think of that opening scene?
The opening scene, all the Giorgio stuff, I just felt like I want to kind of echo something that both Jesse Gender and Trek on the Tube said really well, which is it just felt like treadmilling. Like, oh, okay, we know the big stuff's going to happen next week. So this week they're just doing a lot of setup exposition. I personally liked the second part of the scene where she grabs the crystal ball thing and puts it on his desk or whatever. But yeah, the first part of the scene was kind of weird where I don't know. I didn't care one way or the other. It didn't detract from the overall enjoyment of the episode for me, but it definitely was not, I get why someone explained that like Giorgio was that way because she's being defensive, but I kind of was enjoying Giorgio being a little less that way. And I feel like she just went right back to it. And I was just like, okay, whatever. It wasn't what I was most interested in.
Yeah, and I wasn't like irritated with the entire scene. It was just that opening conversation between those two. But I like that, they're getting somewhere with her, like they're examining her, and Culber's, determined to look her over, even to the atom, because he who slipped past him last time, Tyler, this
Right.
guy who used to be a Klingon somehow like got past the medical screenings, so he's like really digging deep. And that thing where I don't know if it happens in the opening scene or later. No, it happens later where she gets all like glitchy. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
quite
that
understand.
I figured it out on the second viewing. So there was this like the new med bay has like a holographic overlay that it put above her body, I think, and it started glitching out, so it made her look weird or whatever. Hey, Robbie. Um, that's how I understood it, but it still was a weird scene because I didn't. Yeah, it didn't like read that way. I think I'm doing a couple of mental stretches to get to that point.
Yeah, I think now. I used to think it was she's a hologram, and the real her is working for Section 31 secretly. But it seems now she's obviously deteriorating because she's not only. And okay, I don't want to get into spoilers about next week's episode because some of this information actually comes from a scene I saw from next week's episode and the trailer. So I'll just stop there because basically there is speculation that what's happening to her is a result of her being separated so distantly from the mirror universe, like the dimensions are far apart now for whatever reason. Who cares? But whatever, right?
Right, right. Um, yeah,
But yeah,
I
that
think
has
the
to be it.
explanation. Did you watch the extended scene on? I know we
Yeah,
don't want to get into spoilers, but you watched the extended scene on what's it called? The Ready Room
I didn't watch the Ready Room. I watched a YouTube clip of that scene.
of that
I,
scene. Okay, I
it's a
think
damn
that
good scene too, by the way.
yeah, it's a really really good scene. And I think you're right that that scene explains it. I already have a theory. I like Dom Paris's theory, and if you don't mind, I can give you the theory that he came up with of what's going to happen next week, how they're going to get Giorgio back in time.
Yeah, we can get into it. Yeah,
You want me to just okay?
go ahead.
So Dom came up with this wild idea, but it's really exciting to me personally. What if the planet that they're going to, that they send her to, is the Guardian of Forever planet, and she needs to go through the Guardian to get back in time? No, you're not responding to that at all.
Um, I'm thinking of it, and it seems like a cool idea.
Right? The
It would
Guardian of
it,
freaking Forever?
it would be one of those things where people would be like, "Oh, you're shrinking the universe. You're going back in it." But yeah, there's all kinds of ways she can get
Yeah.
back,
Get back.
and they're
Get back
definite.
to where you once belong.
I don't know. I think they're setting up her departure or something.
It only makes sense. I mean, she's the headliner on the Section 31 show that everyone says it's dead, but they keep talking about it. So I feel
It seems to be that they're definitely setting it up now.
right.
Right? Yeah. It seems like I doubted it for the longest time. I'm like, yeah, this thing's never gonna happen, and I'm more sure of it now. I think than I ever have been, but because they set up like very early on, like there's something wrong with her, and they also did that with Detmer too, which we're gonna get into in a bit. But the whole premise of this episode is that Book's home planet is in distress because there are sea locusts that are eating their crops, and they're gonna starve, and they can only depend on Osira to provide them a natural repellent for the things.
Mm-hmm.
And they can ask them to like go away with their thoughts and stuff. They're empaths. Do you notice how they treat humanoid life in this show? It's like they're very protective of the animal life and then it seems like the humanoids are more disposable. And just off, there's a little too much murder for my taste. But if I look at it in the context of this is fun, dumb action, sci-fi stuff, in the vein of how I viewed the Kelvin films, it can be fun to watch. You know what I mean? Like it's got that Trekian vibe. They go to a planet, they have to deal with a situation. All these poor people are starving and stuff like that. But I believe the premise is a little flawed because you're in the 32nd century and people are starving. You know what I mean? I don't get that. Why are people starving in this time?
On the planet, like every single highway, someone like you know coordinated an attack and at the middle of the night so that no one died in my scenario, but in the middle of the night every highway on the planet, at the lowest traffic times suddenly is demolished, right? That would really set us back because even with air travel you still have to get, like, you can have an airplane. Oh, and then let's just say that, like, they also
Wait,
damage every runway on the planet, right? So that would be the equivalent, I think, of what this dilithium burn thing is like. Like, you still have like the amount of ships that are
um,
using. Can
I
you hear me?
think, yeah, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I'm not talking about the burn
Oh, what were you talking about? Sorry.
on Book's home planet, right? The whole setup for this episode, like I was saying, is that they have to go to Book's home planet because the people are starving because of sea locusts, and Osira, as the Empress of or whatever the Emerald Chain, who is oppressing them. So what I'm saying, I guess she's like in control of the replicators. Like they can't use replicators. Why are they starving? That was the question I was posing.
Oh, I understand.
Like
I
why are
got
these people
something.
starving? It makes no sense. But you could
It,
say that she was oppressing them. Like she controlled every bit of their technology. Like you can't have replicators.
I think that makes sense only because in the beginning the admiral says that Osira and the Emerald Chain are known for like all these like prime directive violations where they go to not, I don't think that the I think Book is an exception in this since he left his planet, but I don't even think they have warp capability on that planet. I think it's a very kind of it
This is where scarcity in it, like the galaxy's like clearly hard up, and it's like the same thing they did in Picard, where it's like you have like stuff like programmable matter now, and even in the second episode they showed how easy it was to fix something from their ship, and these people are going to starve to death, and like Osira's holding the cards and she's saying like, yeah, you ever watch your child starve? Like she's a real bad. uh
hombre.
I was gonna say a word, but I just held back. She's a
She's a
bad bitch.
bad
She's a
she's
bad bitch. I was gonna say.
she's a bad hombre. I'm a bitch, but she's an hombre. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, she's terrible. I actually misjudged her. I should have had an accurate understanding of her. I mean, who cuts off an Andorian's antennas, right? Like that should have made me last. Like when they introduced Rin, I should have been like, oh yeah. But I had this weird hope that she was like an anti-Federation, but not terrible. Like she held
Yeah,
it together. Like it was rough, but it wasn't the worst thing, and that there might be like this storyline of like helping her out. But now this is the thing. What I think what you were talking about is Discovery pretty much makes her irredeemable, and if they redeem her, that's like two murderers. We have Empress Georgia, who is, in my opinion, also irredeemable, but she's starting to grow on me, I guess. Whatever. But if you think about all the atrocities she supposedly committed, it's like, how do you let this person like how do you forgive someone like that? It's like literally like she is literally like if you were like, yo Hitler, we know you're terrible, but you can hang out with us and go on missions with us. Like, that's not like a proper punishment. And now Osira, I have a weird feeling they're gonna perhaps set up a redemption for her too. I kind of miss when Star Trek didn't redeem characters that were
yeah.
that awful.
Mm.
I do agree with that.
I actually like her as she's a very like '90s villain of the week.
Yeah.
Kills her own nephew in the early
I
part.
was actually quite sad about the nephew dying. I
Oh, I
didn't.
loved it. I loved it. I was like, yeah, feed him to the transworm. That's like that was like the one part where I was like, I like this villain, but I
Right.
like the hater. And actually, aside from the fact that the Orions now look god awful, they look like Orions, but they look like Orions have had way too much plastic surgery. Like they can't move their
Well,
mouths and shit.
what's interesting? I saw this quick. The actor, I forget his name right now, but he posted a makeup thing, and I would have figured they would have just painted his regular face screen, but no, there's an actual prosthesis that goes over his whole face,
Oh yeah, they
uh,
look like the
which I was which I was
you
surprised about.
Do you ever see the Primus video, Winona and a big brown beaver, where they're like plastic people? They're like
Yes.
actors who are made to look. You remember the Battery Family from years ago?
Yes.
Those old commercials.
Yeah, I do
That's
remember.
what it reminds me of. It's like they have to take everything and put a mask on it. They can't, and they overdo it in Discovery sometimes. The Andorians have grown on me. Like the way Ren looks, I like his design.
Neville Page, I think, explained the whole mask thing now that I think of it, where he was saying something about filming in 4K you can't have seams. Like it's very obvious if there's like a
That's yeah,
seam.
I know. I've yeah, I've heard that, and I think that's a poor excuse because the prosthetics that blend into your natural skin, like just partial prosthetics, not a full face mask, are still being done in movies and TV. And when the seams show, they can fix that, not like incredibly easily, but they can always fix it in post. And if you actually watch I think it's the first or the second episode of Star Trek Discovery, you can see like a crease into Kuzma's near his eye, like where the
Mm,
separation is. And there's also a couple of times with Laurel where her the prosthetics around her mouth are cracked when you really look. But
okay.
those are little things, right? Like there's always going to be those inconsistencies. But Picard, the way they do Vulcans and the Romulan foreheads is an example of like the old school way they used to do it. Like blend it in with the actor's natural face. Don't cover them up to the point where it hinders their performance. For example, Klingons, especially TNG, like movie era and TNG on, often those actors can't express with their eyebrows.
Hmm.
So they often have to use their eyes. They have to widen their eyes to
Oh,
do what.
Hence Galron, like why Galron
Yeah,
does the crazy eyes, right?
exactly.
I never noticed that before. Their eyebrows don't move. That's crazy.
Sometimes they do. Like if you watch Star Trek 6, the Klingon judge, his one of his eyebrows moves up and down. But you can actually it makes it look foam rubbery, so it doesn't make too much sense that way. But yeah, I'm getting into like territory here that going off on a tangent. I just want to address this comment. They are starving because the sea locusts ate the crops. Yes, that is correct. But if you're my point was if you can't rely on naturally grown product, uh, I was speculating like does Osira have control of technology because the dude lives in a nice house. He has nice communication technology. They have like this modern, I guess, for the time, uh, shield around their living environment. So to say that they could have a
Well,
replicator here and there to make some food wouldn't be a stretch, really. I just think they omitted from this episode to create the conflict.
yeah, kind of like that thing. The when sometimes it's like 2 weeks away at warp, and sometimes it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like no one really, none of the distances are really truly adhered to in the thing.
Stress Free K, hello. And Earl
Yo, stress
Grey
free.
and Shishan Girl. They're all popping in and out. Um, let's talk about okay. Hold on. Stress Free K says I think Osira was behind the locust being driven on land. Uh,
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
wasn't that because of the burn? I think the burn caused a shift in the planet's moon or something,
Oh
and
yeah, they did say that. That's right. Never mind.
yeah,
I mean, again, to me, ultimately, like that's one of those things that like I get your nitpick, but like Star Trek Discovery doesn't ever really you have to fill in a lot, and I've just gotten used to filling it all in. So I just headcanon everything I don't understand and go back to the main story. And what I really liked about this episode, and the reason I gave it such a high rating, despite all these like incongruities, was all the little it was a huge character episode, but it fit naturally into the plot of like okay, yeah, there's all these like details and problems, but like basically, um, you have this warlord that's controlling trade to the planet and can control it to the extent where she can make people starve if necessary to use as leverage. So that's what she's doing, and it's very much Discovery has to figure out a diplomatic solution to has to figure out a way not to get involved by getting into a fight, and we get all that. It's kind of fun,
yeah.
again, it could be done a little bit better, but
It's
um
it has an
it
old school
works.
feel to it. Like the whole
Yeah, it
episode,
does.
it's yeah. It has that thing where you have a bad guy oppressing a planet, and the kid's Book's brother has a son. He has a little kid, and you see the kid later on the ship. I like that little touch at the end, by the way, where they bring them on and
Yeah, that was really
show the
nice.
human connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that reminded me of like shows like Buck Rogers and stuff like that. See, that's another thing I really like about Star Trek Discovery, and I know people are like, want Star Trek to be very Star Trek all the time, like just reiterate the same things that happened before. But one thing I always liked as a kid about shows like Buck Rogers is that you had this like starship, and it wasn't just it was it, people came and went from the starship. Like it had this set path. It was traveling like I mean in Buck Rogers it's like a space station actually. But like my point is that like you had a lot of different characters come on board and come and go. And this season Discovery feels like it's really doing that, especially like with Rin and Book. I really feel like I like that they're not Starfleet, and I like that they're not Federation, but that they're hanging out on the ship and going on adventures with them. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
And they're setting up Rin as the love interest for Tilly. Isn't that convenient? Because that's her husband in real life.
Did you detect a love interest thing? Because I don't know if I was seeing that or if that was just the way that they naturally are together. But yeah,
Oh,
I wouldn't mind. I would love it if
oh, hell
she.
yeah,
Yeah, you think
yeah.
that's what they're doing? That's cool.
And I'm so glad they didn't digitally alter his voice. They didn't make him one of these like, oh,
I'm yes,
uh, I'm
PG.
all of season 2 aliens in Discovery. Oh,
Tilly, you look so beautiful tonight. Is my voice annoying that it doesn't ever get calm?
okay.
I don't know what to say.
Um,
uh, I don't want to make too many gags because I really like Noah, and I think I keep messing up his name, but Noah Averbach Katz, and I've always liked Mary Wiseman. So finding out that they were married was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It's such a weird, cool thing, and I don't know how it is at their home, obviously, but if it was myself and my spouse, I'd be flipping out every day that I'm living the dream.
yeah. What'd you think of Saru's? Okay, we got Tilly and Saru walking in the hall trying to come up with a catchphrase for what he's supposed to say, and he's like, "Execute," and yeah, that
Oh,
was that was
Track
silly.
on the tubes in the house. Tell him to come on. I don't know if he can come on, but
I'll send him the link if he wants to
all
come
right,
on.
cool. Yeah, I need to call him an idiot on the air. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. I disagree with something that he's keeps making this comparison, uh, like a delineation about the Calvin timeline films. But I'm like, why are you comparing a TV show to a film? It's like I get what you're saying about the vibe of the action and stuff like that, but overall, Discovery uh, does favor action. It's nothing new this season. I think they've been doing this like since the beginning of Discovery.
Yeah, I was trying to. Um, yeah,
Now you know what it's like. Uh,
I was trying to message Sean, but I can't find the fucking link. God damn it. Okay, no, never mind. I'm sorry. You can just hit invite down here.
yeah. There you go.
All of a sudden, my I haven't used this in a while. I'm starting to use this StreamYards again, and I like forgot like I was like getting the hang of it, and then I stopped using it for a long time. And now
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh, did Trek on the Tube publish the Tom Constantino chat? Is it
he
out?
did, he did. I never
Oh
listened.
shnikes!
Yeah,
Oh
no,
wow.
I'll
I gotta
watch that
listen to that
later.
sometime. Yeah, it's not gonna happen tonight. Sorry, Sean. I got 3 shows.
Yes, check out that interview Trek on the Tube. Recently posted. Uh, but yeah. So okay, we get that scene where they go into the
Why is it
engineering,
doing
and
that?
they're talking about the burn, right?
Right.
So we find out that the burn comes from this nebula or whatever, and
The
it's actually
Verubin Nebula.
y-
It's fine,
y-
hilarious.
why is that hilarious?
Because I say Reuben caused the burn. The- it's called the
Sean, we're gonna do audio only. Is it that? Oh wait, you're on your
Yeah,
phone. Never mind.
yeah.
That's
You could
okay.
be on his
That's
phone.
okay. You can be on video. That's
Oh, look at this guy.
I can.
Good-
Can you hear me fine or not?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
good.
Yeah. I'm not in. I don't have the usual setup. I'm not in the office. I'm in the living room. But yeah.
That's cool. Is
Yes,
baby on the tube still awake?
Yeah, she's next to me. She's watching her TV. So, and I was watching Alien Worlds, but then I thought, I don't know, I just thought I'd check out YouTube, and I saw you guys. So.
This is way better than Alien World, so thanks.
Yeah, I was looking at the trailer for that, and it looks like a show that the creators of Star Trek could probably study, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it looks very interesting. I have to get into it. It's in 4K, so that's good. That's good. So
It's not
anyway,
bad. It's not bad. I'm at like there's only 4 episodes, and I'm already like 3 episodes in. Um, it's cute to some certain degree. There's a lot of real science involved, and going to see like what the real scientists are doing, and how that's fun. How they relate it specifically to like the science fiction imagination aspect of the show is, I suppose, up to opinion. But yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna check that out. But the fake scientists that we're talking about are trying to figure out what the fuck this burn thing is, and apparently, it's a distress signal in a nebula. And you know what? When the scene happened, I was like, okay, so they're gonna change their plans and then go to this distress signal. But like they're like, nah, we'll leave it. So I was like, okay, what was the point of even having the scene? That was like a frustrating, but it bleeds into that whole reveal that Blue DeBarrio's character, what's her name?
Adira.
Adira, yeah. Uh,
I don't think Toddy knows how to mute.
I can actually mute him.
Oh, you can
no,
mute
it's
him, but
fine. I'm
then
still here. Don't worry about it.
you gotta mute though, because we hear everything.
You hear everything? You hear
Yeah.
baby on the tube screaming pizza?
Yeah,
Yay!
I tried
Pizza!
going on Starfleet Boy's live stream last Friday on my phone, and I played it back, and I was like, yeah, phones are not designed for live streaming.
Well, can you guys hear the TV in the background or not?
No.
No,
Okay.
no, it's pretty quiet there now. But
All right, good.
Oh, so, Blue Spurk. I don't know how to say your name.
Blue Spark.
Says Trek on the Tube is awesome, and I agree with his theory. Starfleet Boy, stop being mean. I saw your comment. Oh, on his channel. Oh, wow. Now we know. Anyways, but yeah,
Thank you.
sorry, I didn't mean to be mean.
No, he's fine. We'll joke about this. In 25 years, we'll joke. We'll look back at this and think it was stupid anyway. So there's a theory that it's another discovery in the nebula sending out the distress signal.
That's what that they were the cause of the burn the whole time.
Oh,
Well,
come
yeah,
on.
Specifically,
I would
Michael
hate
Burnham, and that's why they called it the burn.
That's how
Because
they call it the burn. You
And-
couldn't call it the ham.
and you know why the song is somehow resonating, which is ridiculous anyway. It's like you filter it and it becomes a song, whatever. I bet you that song is going to be the song that Adira plays on the cello. Like it's all
So-
going to be like season 2 where it's like a paradox. You know what I mean?
But then, okay.
It's not going to make
At
any
least
sense.
it's not an Alice in Wonderland kind of reference thing again. Like not a Alice in Wonderland song.
Yeah.
You guys might be onto something, but I don't know if I like that idea that it's the discovery in there. It just it's kind of too. I wanted something completely different.
It was us the whole time.
Oh no.
Dun dun dun. What a twist.
I don't know.
Well, there has to be. Okay, well, here's the thing. There has to be a second discovery because it's no longer the discovery we know that's in Calypso, but Calypso takes place after what we're watching now. So there has to be a point in time where there was a separation, and the discovery that we see in Calypso has to have been created at some point.
Oh my God! You know what? You know if you could tie it into Calypso and explain why Discovery looks pre Discovery A, like refit, you could say that there was a split and that there was a separate Discovery. Like almost like when Riker was split into like a stupid transporter accident or something, or like there's a duplicate was made. You know what I mean?
But
Yeah,
then what do
Thomas
you do with all
Discovery.
the people? Wouldn't there be duplicates of the people on the Discovery?
Yeah, and they
And
had
then
to. It would all
go
connect to like as to why they had to leave it there in the that nebula. That nebula that they're talking about in this episode, I think, is like the nebula in Calypso.
you're guessing it is.
I'm guessing. I'm guessing. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? It's just all
It
this
is
theory
pretty
and
it
speculation.
Yeah, it is. It's bending my mind a little bit, but anyways, I do think that in the next episode, Giorgio will be out of the picture. I definitely think so.
Yeah, I don't know. So okay,
And and then there will be another Giorgio on the Discovery and the Nebula watch. No, I'm just kidding.
but I don't
They
think
go.
we're not gonna learn about this burn until like the last episode
What
or the
if they
second last
go?
episode.
What if they go and they find this other Discovery in the Nebula, and you have William Shatner, Captain Kirk from the Nexus in there? What would you do if that happened?
He's like, "Give me all you can muster, Mister."
Can't give me all you can muster, Mister. Oh my god, that just got ridiculous. Um,
Somebody said
yeah,
about. I just want to say about Giorgio for a second. Somebody, I forget who it was, but somebody said about her. It was a very good point. She's all about threat and intimidation. Like it's always just defensive, like threatening and just talking down. It's like it's all very one note, and sometimes depending on who's writing her and like what character she's talking to, she's very good. And then other times, like with Culber, every time she's with Culber for some reason, I'm like, make this stop. But Culber himself is good. Like I like the fact that he's like really adamant about trying to help her and stuff, even though she's being Giorgio. But yeah, can we talk about the next thing? I was Adira and the whole pronoun thing.
hmm
Discovery has a habit of doing things too late in the season. For example, like this. I bet you in the ninth or 10th episode, there's going to be some mention of the admiral's like, you know what? We should replicate this war drive. We have the technology. It's like, dude, you should have did that way back. I'm just guessing, like if that happens, like they're always like holding things that should be done very early on, like, uh, and I think Adira going through most of this season now. What was she showed up in the third episode, right?
yeah.
So that's episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 6 episodes. I'm sorry, they're in. Now you're gonna have to forgive me because this pronoun thing is relatively new in society, and some people slip and they say he or she rather than they as the pronoun. Now, I understand that they had to address it at some point, but why did they do it so late? My question is, she seemed like she was uncomfortable, and she only told Gray. She said that. I understand that, but they're referring to Dira as her, as the feminine pronoun the whole time. And if she was uncomfortable, why didn't they just address that very early on? Why didn't she just tell everybody right away? And she seemed a little upset by it. And at first, I thought that they was referring to, you know, like she alone wasn't going to take credit for being so knowledgeable, that they was referring to all of her past lives. And I was like, oh no, they're actually addressing the pronoun thing for non-binary people. So I'm glad they did it. I just, like I said, it's like, why so late in the season?
I
She's
think I
been,
have the answer that might satisfy you, uh,
please enlighten
which
me.
is well, just satisfy you. I don't know if this is just a guess or whatever, but the way I read the scene was that like Adira had been working really really hard, so Adira was more irritable at that moment, and then finally just decided to like. Maybe Adira didn't care that much about it before, or was just tolerating it or able to tolerate it. And here they were at their wits' end, kind of, and so they were just kind of lashing out. And I can relate to that because I've worked like late hours, and I'm known as being very like chill and nice and everything like that. But if you get me at like a 12-hour point and come at me, I don't care if you're I don't care who you are. I'll probably be a little snippier than I
Yeah.
normally am. And so I feel like that might be the reason why in terms of that. And Adira states that this is the first time they're talking about it with anyone other than Gray. And what I liked about that is that even though you're right, it is a bit convenient.
It but it
Um,
also feels, and I like the fact they had to address it and all this, but it does feel modern. You're in the 32nd century again. Some things in this show feel very contemporary when they should be second nature. There shouldn't even be a thought about it. You know what I mean? So
I
like,
th- yeah, I think one of the struggles of being non-binary is that as it stands, the world is conditioned. First of all, non-binary at the moment, you're a minority, and probably a very small amount of people on the planet. Just let's say in Earth, and let's just expand it to the galaxy. Let's just pretend we're talking. Oh, Sean dropped out, but that's okay. Let's just expand this to the galaxy, right? Even still, there would still only be a small percentage of people who are non-binary, and unfortunately, I think because of that and how everyone is conditioned, if you're a person who's non-binary and you're easily offended, you're always going to be angry because there's no way possible that everyone's going to kind of like ask, like that's the thing is you're trying to get to a society that asks, right? And I
yeah,
certainly have learned, and I have a lot of friends who are non-binary, so I'm very cognizant of it, but the majority, it's always going to be an uphill battle because you're going to meet people that are going to not understand, and then you have to explain it all the time, so it must be very, very frustrating. I don't know how like a non-binary person does it, so it's a lot. You could get really frustrated. I would love to have this conversation again when we have someone again who identifies as non-binary, because then we can really get into kind of questions. But I guess my point with this is that like maybe at some point Adira just learned to tolerate it because Adira saw that it's very difficult to convince, like, to get people to ask you your pronoun. So until this moment, Adira was just deciding to tolerate it. Now, what I would love to do is for Discovery to teach us a way, because Star Trek often does that, a way of like getting over this conditioning, so that like at least folks that watch Star Trek will start to speak differently or act differently, and then eventually it'll become something that's like commonplace. But yeah, for now, it's tough. It's a tough question.
and
Um,
Trek always does that where it changes its perception of the future based on the times, and it's totally forgivable that back in TNG they had that episode, I forget what the name was, where they had the non binary species. They did slightly address it, but it's not the same thing. And people say,
and
well,
yeah,
like
those were
they say
actually
the Dax
non.
symbionts are like a metaphor for trans, and it's like kind of, but not really. They haven't actually. That's not actually putting trans people
Um,
in the show, and that episode of TNG wasn't necessarily putting an actual non-binary actor in the role. But now that they're starting to do it, because now we're aware of it, and it is very new. I have a distant relative who was the first person in Canada to apply for a non-binary birth certificate, and instead of
mm,
M or F, it says X.
mm.
And they were born a woman,
Can I just?
transitioned to a man, and then decided, you know what, I don't feel like a him or her. Please address me as. And this was like just a while ago, and the actual she got approved. Oh, I'm sorry. She look, I'm slipping again. They got approved for their name is Gemma Hickey, by the way. You can look them up. But that happened in 2017, so I've been aware of it for a while. And even the show Shameless was teaching me about it, because there's a season where like there are trans and non-binary friends of a character named Ethan that are introduced, and they're explaining to him the pronouns, and he doesn't know, like he has no idea. He's like, "Oh, there are non-binary people. Oh, what do you call a non-binary person? Like, what pronoun do you use?" And like, and they explain some like you can use, some prefer he or she pronouns, or some prefer gender neutral they, them. So I am appreciative of the fact that more people can watch the show in the LGBT community and feel like, you know what I mean, like they're included, because so many things for years it's just like, and I'm not going to get into the straight white male dominance of Hollywood for years and years. And I'm sorry I'm going on and on about this, but I have to get this point across that uh, up until just not even like 5-6 years ago, nobody was consciously trying to do this in shows. And I understand there are people out there who are screaming, "Oh, I gotta learn new pronouns. You're shoving it down my throat. Oh, it's virtue signaling, and you're only putting it in this." Well, it has to start somewhere, people. You have to put it in something. You have to, like, you know what I mean? You can't just tiptoe around everything all the time. You have to actually address it.
Yep.
And I hear people like just like bitch about that. Like, I gotta learn. They is plural. I can't do this. I can't learn. I can't. My brain, their brain can't
It's actually really easy.
process it.
They is what we use when we don't know. So like oftentimes,
They're at the
let's
store.
say let's say you see the name Chris, right? A lot of time you'll say, "Oh, so Chris, are they male or female?" So if you know what I mean, like
Yes,
it's kind of like
exactly.
easy to understand the concept if you put it in terms of that. But there's a lot of interesting stuff that Stress Free K is posting in your chat about Blue Del Barrio, how this was actually something that Blue's parents didn't even know about their non-binary, how they felt like they were not, you know, one gender or the other, and so it came out like so the Star Trek helped them
Yeah.
to kind of come out as well. So that's kind of neat.
I haven't seen. I'm gonna maybe go off on a bit of a tangent here, but I haven't really. This review that I put out on my channel, I put it out earlier than usual, so I haven't really. Usually, I look around and see what other people think.
Sean, you're very loud.
Oh, really?
You want to just like, I don't know. Well, you're louder than
Just talk
Starfleet
lower.
Boy.
That's fine. Yeah. Just I don't know. Oh, I'm
Is
not
this
that
is
loud.
this better or not?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's good. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, it's my fault. Yeah,
It's all your fault.
it's all my fault. No, I was just saying, like, I don't know if people have been kind of discussing this, but I don't know if this is an argument that's been made, but in a way, you could kind of think that we as a people are learning about these pronoun things and developing this more in our media today in the 21st century. You'd think that by the 32nd century, in universe, like in Star Trek, everyone would already kind of like that would be a thing, and you wouldn't need to explain it. Um,
Well, you would
but
always need to explain it in the sense that like maybe on in the Federation it's a thing and like that's like something there, but like maybe Klingons don't have that concept yet, or maybe the Romulans don't have that concept yet. So
yeah, yeah.
there's
Well,
that
this
way
was this was two
of
humans,
explaining
but
it.
what I'm really trying to say is, um, I think this scene was specifically necessary for the people that live today and that are watching the show. Right? This was a scene like it's not just representation of a specific person. This is a representation of like a situation that people have to go through in life.
I think
The coming out
yeah.
and all of that. So I think that's why it was important in this episode specifically.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that the show can't get around, and like it's just kind of like a hard thing to convey because the the problem lies in that we're all conditioned, not even by society but just conditioned in like a kind of like primal way to see male and to see female before we see other has always existed. Like, you know, they have the third gender in India is a concept that's been around for like a long time, and like, you know, some people call it, you know, different cultures call it a different thing, but what we're conditioned to, or what's kind of like our first impulse, is to see male and female, and that's why a lot of people make that mistake. So unfortunately, it seems that it's always incumbent on the non-binary person to kind of, and that's where it gets annoying for that person, is it's always kind of incumbent on them to let people know or correct people. And that's the problem, is like I don't see that being solved, Sean, by the 32nd century. But I really think we should have this conversation with Kellen, who was on the show yesterday, and maybe Jesse Gender would want to be a part of that discussion. I think it's worthy of a full discussion, because I think there are solutions that we can come up with, and this community could certainly come up with it, because we have plenty of folks that identify in many different ways, and I think Stress Free K seems to have a good handle on it too. So we should get a panel and a discussion
I
going on this.
I
I think
wasn't
it's
saying
really
it. I
interesting.
wasn't saying it for me. I was like, I was speculating as to maybe issues that could have been had with the episode. I think that everything was handled very well.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
you guys know that this is probably one of my favorite episodes of the season too, and
Yeah.
not just because of this. It's great. You know what? And we talked about this not too long ago. I like the fact that we can talk about like the grander issues that are tackled by the Next Generation, of Deep Space Nine, of Voyager when we go back. And you mentioned that when you were younger, you talked about all the minutia, and that's what we thought, like all the details
Yeah,
and all.
yeah, yeah. No, of course.
And what's fantastic is the discussion about this episode doesn't seem to be about, oh look, they got the Andorians wrong. It's really about this kind of greater issue, and I think that's a sign of success
Uh,
with the season at least.
and they gave Blue and Anthony Rapp a good character moment when he's playing the piano and they're playing the
Yeah, that was really
they're
nice.
playing the cello, and they're setting up this whole thing where Culber and Stamets are going to be like paternal figures to Adira. And I think that that's kind of nice that like there's a sense of family there already in this episode when Adira is like asleep, and yeah, that's all nice. I also like Saru and Tilly in this episode a lot too. Like Tilly's not, you know, I don't want to say she's not Tilly, but Tilly's Tilly, but she's more confident now as first officer, and at least they're showing her take the initiative. And Saru seems to actually really like her. Like they have like a little, they have great chemistry together in this particular episode, I find.
Yeah, you were talking about that earlier. I loved all the. I loved it. I didn't notice it when I was watching, but did you guys notice how Tilly uh, didn't stutter at all and was like very confident? And I just really liked the portrayal of how Tilly was when she stepped up to the plate.
I really liked it. I think it was more nuanced than just now she's confident. I really appreciated Mary Wiseman's performance in this episode. I felt like she really found that, I don't know, there was a balance between like being really confident in her new position and kind of hesitating sometimes, and I liked it.
Yeah. So let's get back to the main story about the whole. Well, I don't forget the name of the planet. Book's home planet is being taken over by the Emerald Chain. Why? I have a question. Why does the guy lure Book there and then tell Osira that he's not going to give Book up? He's already given Book up. Book's already there. Like, why is he protecting him now all of a sudden when the whole point was to betray him to go there? And why did Osira want Book? Why did Book need to go back there?
Osira wanted Rin, and so the whole thing was that Osira
So
wanted Rin.
Osira did know that Rim was on the ship. I thought she found that out later.
No,
Okay.
no, Osira's after Rin, and so the reason she went after if I'm not mistaken, the reason she went after this planet was because she knew Book would respond, and that Book was connected
Okay.
to Rin. So she was trying to get Book to come to the planet so that she could get to Rin. Because remember in the scene where the dumb nephew gets eaten, uh, she's like, I
Oh
already know.
yeah.
Remember, so she was
Yeah.
trying to get Book there to get to Rin, and it just happened that Rin was on Discovery.
Oh. Okay. So that clears that up because
Hmm.
I'd only seen this episode a couple of times.
You gotta watch
But,
these things like 6 times.
yeah, really.
No, I'm just kidding.
So okay, so Osiris shows up in her big ship, and then Tilly's idea is like, hey, let's have Kayla Detmer go rogue and like mess with her.
I liked because it reminded me of like what the TOS crew often did. Like they would hint at something like how like uh how like he tells Sulu in Star Trek Six, like, you could risk getting court-martialed for giving me this information, and Sulu's like, sorry, Captain, I can't hear what you're saying. Like it was just, it kind of reminded me of those kinds of scenes where like they know they're being naughty, but they're kind
Uh,
of doing it in a way that like
we're
is
Captain. We're caught in a blizzard,
right. So
going
I
through a
like that
space
scene.
tunnel.
And can I say something? I didn't say this on my stream, but what I liked about it also is that like Burnham could do the same thing, and she'd probably get approval for her some of her things. So I like that Tilly was a little bit. She's still rogue. She has these like roguish kind of ideas, but she went through like chain of command, which I kind of liked a lot.
The way that scene where she's zipping around the ship, and listen, I can suspend disbelief and accept the fact that this 32nd century behemoth of a ship can't take care of Book's little ship zipping around. I guess it's too fast.
Well, that
But
makes
the way
sense.
I get it.
That part makes sense. But what didn't make sense to me is the behemoth ship had a little tiny floaty bit in the front that I thought like, remember, it was like divided into three bits, like three inter, that they weren't connected. So my thing is like, well, why couldn't these separate parts actually separate, like actually
Yeah,
like fly and become it, so her ship becomes three ships, and so she could have had an attack fighter. Also, they don't have shuttlecrafts on the ship that they could deploy and chase after, because it's true a smaller ship would have an advantage against a behemoth, but I'm surprised they don't have like, attack fighters or something, like a little
yeah.
fighter aboard or whatever. So I hated it for a different reason. uh
But the thing about the everything having to do with the Emerald Chain looks like junkyard, like modern crap. Like if you look at her ship, like on the inside when she's talking to her nephew, like there's like dryer tubes in the background. Like it looks so, like from that production standpoint, everything having to do with the Emerald Chain, like
Wait, she
everything looks
wasn't on
so
her ship
so.
though. She was still in the scrapyard, wasn't she?
right, right, in the
Oh, they
beginning
were still
scene.
in the scrapyard.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
I
but
thought that was her ship.
yeah, no. They're still in the scrapyard, and I think you must have like a trans kind of prison or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and that's where she chucked her in. She chucked him in there.
Yeah.
But that
Oh,
wasn't on her ship. We haven't seen the
the
inside of her
inside.
ship. To Starfleet Boy's great dismay.
I would
Yeah.
imagine that
Yeah.
there's a lot of rusty boxes and shelves and dryer
Wouldn't it be
tubes
funny
hanging in the
if you
background.
wouldn't it be funny if you beam over there and it's all sex toys? She's like a
Uh,
sex toy dealer and they're all there. So never
it's like
mind. Sorry, that was
it's a wall of spiky dildos.
yes, exactly. That's where I was going with this.
Hey, look, if it's Andorian sex toys, they haven't canonized it, but they've got four genders, so you can have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. The space battle was very Star Warsy. Like,
Oh yeah,
I think the way it was shot, like the the way the camera follows it as it's zipping through, and there's a real sense of speed. And the way they're moving in the ship, I thought like the direction of all that, and even the visual effects were like quite good. And I just found it like kind of fun that they're messing with Osira, and Kayla Detmer's like getting her groove back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think she's over it now. Do you think that? Do you think this is like the end of her?
Yeah, I think this was a breakthrough. It felt like a breakthrough moment to me.
yeah. I would like to see like I don't know. I would like to see Ditman move on and away from Discovery. Like I feel like they should give her a smaller ship to pilot in the Starfleet fleet that they have. That
Her
would be
own
fun.
Delta flyer?
Yeah, something like that. And she could be in charge of, well, they call the rapid response unit, that's the Discovery because they spore jump. But it would be fun to have, if they start growing the Federation out again, they could actually have a rapid response where people, if they fix the warp thing and they start warping around or they use some sort of other technology, it
Yeah.
would be fun to have her in that position.
There's the question of how can she fly book ships so well, but I guess she's adapted to all the modern
Oh, it seems
technology.
intuitive because Burnham seemed okay with it.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Thinking about this episode now, I think the least interesting part was the whole relationship between Book and his brother, and that whole like drama. I think everything else, aside from the beginning Giorgio stuff, was more interesting. Uh, I really like when Osiris starts firing on the planet, and at first I didn't realize about the shield. I'm like, oh my god, she's blowing them away with the photon torpedoes. I'm like, oh, they're screwed now. And then I was like, oh yeah, there's a shield. And I liked how that looked. Like I thought the visual effects in this episode
Yeah,
were,
that was superb. That felt very cinematic. It's true.
yeah. But then at the end, what's the solution? Hey guys, did you know you're all empathic and you can actually just ask these things to go the fuck away? Really?
I think
And by the way, we have a special
It's very Star Trek.
we have a special empathy beam that we're gonna shine down while you pray and stuff, which is all very like enlightened and
You know what?
optimistic. But come on, it's silly.
You know what? I was gonna complain about the big beam that comes from the Discovery. When I was writing my review, I was like, "This is ridiculous." And then I thought back to TNG. I was like, "How would like a Star Trek show that I really love handle this?" And I thought, with a big beam, that's what they
With a
do.
big-
They shoot out big beams from their bloody
Encounter at
deflector.
Farpoint is the pilot. They shoot out a big beam.
That's all they
of
do. They
Energy.
just beam.
It's like an energy transfer.
So it's fine, and it's so like it's kind of like a cheesy ending, I guess, or I don't know, like the whole, make up with your brother and use your minds, connect, and then I don't know. It's Star Trek has a thing where it has these big like high concept ideas, and then sometimes they wrap the episodes up because they just need to be wrapped up, and that's fine. That's okay. I'm okay with it.
I actually thought the actor who played Book's brother was good, but I didn't like the convenience of having a brother all of a sudden for the plot. Also, I think you have two new people that I've never seen on your stream, but I don't know. You have someone named
Son of a red shirt.
Son of a Red Shirt. Hi. Hopefully you survive, Son of a Red Shirt.
Yeah, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Um, I think that it was not necessary to make him his brother. Like, but they could have done
Although
the exact same episode
They're
without.
not. They're not
they
blood
did say
brothers.
that they're not blood brothers.
Yeah,
but
they're
still,
just
I don't
friends,
know.
I guess. But
I
they
liked
didn't-
it. I mean, because I see you guys as my brothers, but I get it. I get it. But it set up this whole weird thing, which made me just think of like the mafia, sort of, because you know how the mafia is like a big family, but you're not necessarily related, and it made me think about that. But hello to Vlad
Oh,
Suditu.
Osiris was the Dawn.
Yeah, Osiris
Yeah.
totally the Dawn.
Yeah, she's had too much plastic surgery as well, just like her nephew. all the Orions now.
By the way, that's Margot
have
Kidder's daughter.
have really bad 1990s plastic surgery. Margot Kidder's. You just said that, and I would like. I'm not even joking. The thought occurred to me like she's kind of got a Margot Kidder vibe because I'd recently watched. Excuse
Yeah,
me,
they're very. Yeah,
I
saw
recently
that
watched
too. I thought
Superman.
that too.
With young Margot Kidder, and she has that kind of bone structure. So I didn't know that. That's
Is
an
she her
interesting
daughter
fact.
or is she not her nephew? Her niece? Oh, sorry.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
think it's
But
niece.
she's related. She's related to Margot Kidder.
Hmm.
Okay. She does kind of look like her, actually. I want to see what the actress actually looks like now.
But yeah, you're right. All of the Orions in the 32nd century, they go to like they're like, make me shine, make me sparkle.
But you know that like narrow face and high cheekbones that Margot Kidder had. She kind of has the same thing. But anyway, I just want to address this comment. It's funny. I watched the movie 0 Hour the day before. That's the movie Airplane is based on. Airplane is the parody of that movie. A big plot point is a fighter pilot is asked to fly a passenger plane. Says he can't do it. Wrong training. And I guess the point of that is that there's a difference between flying a big starship and a little ship like Books. But like you said, if there's some kind of intuitive technology where like if you're just a natural pilot, like you can do it,
Well, to be fair, Picard can handle like the Enterprise D or the captain's yacht or a shuttle or an escape pod. But I mean, like,
He loves to fly. He's a fly boy. Yeah, like I think
And
Detmer's a
fly girl.
Girl, yeah.
she's a fly girl, as in one of the dancers from In Living Color.
Well, she's totally the Tom Paris of Discovery, isn't she?
She's Tom Paris. I do love also, speaking of kind of confounding gender norms. I love that Detmer refers to herself as macho, and they've been saying that like in this episode. I really enjoyed it's like I think that there's some things that like Discovery has to do to represent like a segment of its audience, and also just to like kind of stand or like highlight these things that are incorrect in our society. And ultimately it's never going to be perfect if we don't have a solution for it yet in our society. Star Trek's going to have a tough time presenting a solution and making it stick. But I think this is like a good solution, but in terms of like just showing that having people play these parts that also feel these things. By the way, did you guys see is it Emily Coates, right, who plays Detmer?
Yeah.
uh, Dan Decker on Twitter did a cameo. Emily Coates is doing cameos for like charity, and it was really cool to see her not being Detmer because they're so different in my mind. Detmer's kind of different from how Emily Coates is, and I thought that was cool. I always like to see how actors actually are.
Yeah. And one of the last things I want to talk about this episode, after everything's said and done, and the happy beam makes everything good again. What's going to happen to those locusts? I don't know. They're going to go out to sea and die, but whatever. Let's not think about that.
No, that's where they come from, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're going back to where they come from, I think. They were just expanding
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah, they don't really address what's going to happen with the locusts, but there is a considerable amount of like denouement or downtime after like the initial climax of the episode. It's like 6 or 7 minutes of, you got the scene where Book's brother and him are on the ship with the kid, and you got the whole scene where Tilly is talking to Rin, and then you get the next. So there's like 4 or 5 scenes of character moments that after like the initial action was over, that I kind of actually really appreciated. So then you have the second last scene is what is it? Stamets and Culber talking about Adira, and then the very last one is I guess Michael's trying to working on Book's ship or something, and that was probably the least interesting one. But I like that they had those little character moments after everything. They're definitely setting up a romance with Tilly and Rin. So I guess Rin now is a part of the cast. I guess he's going to be in it, presumably for the rest of the show. Is Book leaving?
I think Rin, Book, Reno, Jet Reno, and Emperor Giorgio are probably. They just kind of come in and out. They're gonna be like not in every episode necessarily, right? But they'll probably come in and out. So I hope we do get Rin. I think we're gonna get Rin a couple more times. What are there, 6 more episodes left?
8. This was 8, 9.
I don't
10,
know.
11,
Well,
12,
it's a double episode next week. Are they doing both episodes at once? Do we know?
There's 5 episodes. There's 13 episodes altogether. There's 5
left. Okay.
5 left. The next 2 are not gonna be at once. They're gonna be part 1 and part 2.
I did want to talk about something that's going on in the comment section. I think Son of a Red Shirt's asking about the antenna on Rin. In Enterprise, it's explained that they do grow back over a certain amount of, like, it takes months.
Yeah.
And it is specified that it's with good care they will grow back. I think Shran gets his back a little quicker because they do something to him. I think Phlox has like a miracle potion or whatever it is. But it hasn't been addressed in Discovery so far, in the sense that maybe something was done to him that they haven't even addressed it. So we don't know if they are growing back slowly, or if maybe they were like burnt off or melted off with some sort of acid, or we don't know. Maybe they won't grow back.
Jeez, it would have been a great opportunity when he was in the sick bay for us to have just a little quick scene about, can you grow my antenna back? And they say yes or no. It would have been interesting.
And the answer should definitely be yes. It's the 32nd fucking century. Come on.
Well, you just give him. I mean, yeah, his balance.
You could have robotic antenna.
Well, his balance
if you can't grow your own.
You gotta have holographic ones.
Exactly.
Oh
You
yeah,
can
you
have
could
like
have a
fake-
programmable matter antenna. Oh my gosh. Holy shiitake mushrooms.
well, he's the future. He could become an Andorian, or he could be like an Orion or a Klingon if he wanted to. He didn't even need to be a
It was already easy to do that by TNG.
yeah,
Remember
exactly.
how easy it was to like change Worf, like or whoever. It was something easy. So yeah.
Yeah, Rin should be glad he wasn't the Ferengi. I love how everyone just hates them.
That's another thing. Wouldn't it be
Um,
interesting to see like more species, classic species? Like we've seen Cardassians
It would
in
be
the
amazing to
background.
see the Ferengi, but they are the enlightened saviors of the universe.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the Federation has been completely replaced by the Ferengi Alliance, but they're just the best. You know what I mean? They have they have the moral high ground. They have the ethical high ground. They're saving everyone. They're helping everyone. That would be amazing.
I agree. That would be really awesome. Um,
It's been a long time since we've seen any humans.
I gotta go soon because I have another
okay, yeah, I
podcast to
know
go on.
you're gonna go on Father's broadcast.
But you guys
So
should keep going until the very moment that, because
no,
TQIF could just like.
I'm gonna end it here because I'm starving and I need to eat, and I'm actually gonna listen to you guys
Nice.
while I'm doing some housework.
Hey, you guys are welcome to come to Starfleet Boy After Dark, where we're gonna talk about my avatar, some more.
Anybody got any final thoughts? You give your final thoughts, Starfleet Boy.
All right. All I have to say is that I really like this episode, but again, like I said earlier, for the character moments, I thought it was a superlative episode as far as character moments go. Yeah, I think the weakest part of the episode was definitely the whole Osira storyline. Yay, TQIF. But overall, I was really happy because I know PJ, it's been a roller coaster ride for you, and you said one more bad episode, and I don't know if I can do it, and so we got you for one more week, which I'm so happy about
And
because
it's
you didn't hate this episode, so,
it's not
so
that
that's
I
really what makes
I
me
like
laugh.
this season. I just don't want it to devolve.
You take it
That's-
one
Yeah,
you take it 1 week at a time.
Yeah, but I'm glad we get him one more week, right? Like he's gonna stick around at least till next week, and then we'll see what happens.
I don't want to get into spoilers about the next two episodes, but they look kind of epic.
Yeah,
And I don't know exactly what the preview hints that it's mainly about one particular thing, but I think there's a lot more going on than what they're showing. But
I think
anyway,
it's gonna be
won't even get
insane.
into that. Won't even
Yeah.
get into it. But anyway,
I love you guys so much for like knowing that I don't watch the previews, so you just don't talk about them. Thank you.
You're welcome.
we
try
got.
not to.
I think we lost a couple of people earlier because we started getting into it, and then we're like, no. So don't go back and watch this earlier because we talk about some stuff.
Trek on the Tube never goes back. He always goes forward.
But let's just say there's a scene that they showed from next week that was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. And
That's
I already
all.
presented.
I'm gonna stop
the-
now.
Yeah,
we're gonna end
it's
this
too much.
broadcast.
We should do a
It's too
speculation.
much.
Maybe on Saturday we could do a little speculating or something. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Can I just really quickly say before we hear? Oh, I guess we have to hear Trek on the Tube's final thoughts. But everyone after this, go to Text Trek and then come to Starfleet Boy After Dark. After that.
Yes.
My final thoughts just Kelvin timeline, prime timeline, just to piss you off. So
Actually, when I heard you guys talking about it here, I realized what you're saying. I just don't like the way you're saying it. Like, I think you're right. I just wish you would. I'm just triggered. I'm just a terrible person.
it's
Just
fine.
ignore me.
I invite you to because it's very complicated sometimes to find the words to like explain what it is that you feel. So if you feel like you understand what I'm saying, but you think you have a better way of explaining it, please do try.
To be fair, you said it's an abstract concept when you presented it the first time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you're actually right on. I was out of line. I'm demoted. Bye.
Get lost, Captain.
All right. My final thoughts are: I like this episode because it was visually stimulating, and I like those character moments, even though the whole reason for everything that's happening, I don't really buy. Starving people. Why don't they have replicators? All these little nitpicks, but like Osira as like I said, she's kind of like a classic '90s villain almost. And Jonathan Frakes, this is one of his better episodes. Some episodes of Trek that he's directed recently, I haven't been a big fan of. That's not necessarily all of his fault, but I thought at least most of what was going on in this episode was really suited to him, and the way he pulled it off visually. I find that even the action scenes and the framing, I gotta say about season 3, it's very clean looking. Like you said, that's one part of your conversation I heard. He talked about how it does look better than the previous seasons. Like things just look clearer. There's not as much haze.
The smog has lifted.
And the smog is lifted. So, all right, guys, we're going to leave it there. And I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I want to thank everybody in the comment section and in the chat. Blue Spurk says, "You are such great people."
Thanks, Blue.
All you guys in the chat are great people too. And we very much appreciate you engaging with us. So until next time, live long and